Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us this evening. We have got a special edition tonight of our On the Sofa. We've got the women's team, we've got Gypsy and Elise and their mums. So it's a mothers and daughters special, and we will get to them shortly. Just a couple of other things. We've got the 85-86 event on Wednesday, and we have about 10 tickets still available. So we've managed to up the capacity. So we've got about 10 tickets left. So if you're thinking about coming, please get your tickets sort of this evening, really, because we will be shutting the shop item down tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. So we have direct numbers to send to the club. And also on Saturday, we will be collecting donations for the children's ward at GWH. So if you can donate anything, that'd be very welcome. Anything from 1 to 17-year-old, boy or girl, up to a maximum of £10 in value. Brand new things, please. This is on behalf of the club and the OSC, and we'll be delivering them in the middle of December up to the hospital. Right. Let's bring Vic on.
Hi, Chris.
Good evening, Mr. Morgan. You okay?
You all right? You okay?
Yes.
I think we have to say a big thank you, do we not, to Danny and to Neil from SAS Travel, and also to Mark, of course, from SAS. Danny and Neil from Barnes Coaches. You might be aware that we had an incident in Harrogate on Saturday night with a problem with one of the buses. Which meant our journey was somewhat delayed. But great credit goes to Barnes Coaches and to Mark from SAS Travel for getting us home, because it was a devil of an organisation, and they did it very well. We had Pullman's coaches from York involved and all sorts of things. So we say thank you very much indeed to them for their help in getting us home on Saturday, which is much appreciated. And talking of SAS Travel, they're open before the game tomorrow night. Don't forget the Exeter game kicks off at 7. So they're open before the game. Limited availability for Accrington Stanley tickets on the bus. That's for before the game tomorrow. There's just limited availability on the bus. Accrington is next Tuesday, the 28th of 11th, and it departs the county ground at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And there will be free parking for those travelling on SAS. So don't forget that. Free parking if travelling on SAS. And Chris, you'll take a list of numbers and send them back to the club, and everybody will be happy with that free parking, I'm sure. 1 o'clock on the 28th of November, we'll be off to Accrington.
Yeah. And we must say, regarding the sort of bus incident on Saturday, Harrogate stewards and police weren't a lot of help at all, were they? So we had, over 50 people stood on the street, on the side of the street, asked to move away because we were in their way. So it was, so as you said, ditto that for Barnes's and Mark for getting us home in as quick a time as possible. So brilliant.
Yes.
Okay. Are you ready? Let's get our mums and daughters on. So we've got Elise and Rachel, and then Joe and Gypsy.
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
Good evening. Hi.
All right. Okay, so any questions, please leave them in the comments. We will get through as many as we can, as I say every week. Okay, I will leave you to it, and I'll speak to you later.
Chris, thanks very much indeed. She's disappeared very quickly, but thank you ever so much. We'll be back later on. Elise and Rachel, Gypsy and Joe, thank you ever so much for joining us. A big weekend coming up, of course, for Swindon Town's women's football team. We'll get to that in a minute. But what we really wanted to explore tonight, not only Elise and Gypsy, your playing careers at the moment and how it's going and all that kind of thing, but the roles that parents play in helping get you to where you go, because it's a very vital part of how you actually get onto that pitch on a Sunday. So we'll be talking about that as well. But at least if we could start off with you, tell us about your career, how you are, what you play, all that kind of thing.
Well, hello for starters. I started football at age 7 at Marlborough Youth. So that was just when we moved to Marlborough, so good timing. Then when I was 10, I believe, I did a summer camp with the Community Foundation at Swindon. From there, I started doing sessions with the Community Foundation. which led to me going through their age groups from under 12s all the way up to under 16s. And now I'm on the STWFC C6 program with the Community Foundation as well. So it's been a good experience. And then I first joined the ladies team in the summer, which was led on from the Community Foundation program, which was good.
Not only do you play football, you play cricket as well, don't you?
Yeah. I enjoy cricket. It's good fun. I play that at Wootton Bassett ladies, Avebury men's, and Wiltshire cricket. So that's good.
How do you see your career progressing, as it were? Because let's be honest, women's football, 15, 20 years ago, there wasn't a career path, but there is now. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's really good how it's progressed from how it was previously, and I think it's led to me having some really good opportunities coming through playing football. So yeah, and I'd like to take it as far as I can, but we'll see what happens, really.
Well, of course we will, and we wish you well with it. Gypsy, same for you, really. I think you've been in the game a tad longer, I think it's fair to say, but tell us about you.
Well, I started playing football when I was like 12. I actually used to compete in gymnastics quite highly, but I had quite a little bit of an injury, so I had to quit. But I just said to my mum, I want to play football. But she said, you've got to choose either gymnastics or football. So I just went down the football route from now on. So I started at 12. I joined, was it Croft to start with?
I think so, yeah.
Croft. And then I got picked up by the foundation. So I went through Swindon Town and Community from 12 to 16. Played in boys' teams throughout then. And then I went to C6, same as Elise, where she's at now. And then, God, it's getting
Stayed with the ladies, really.
Stayed with the ladies since I was 16 to now. So yeah.
Just explain what C6 is, if you could. That'd be good.
So it's a football association with the sixth form. So it's Swindon have joined up with Commonwealth sixth form to partnership to have a football program there. So you do that during year 12 and year 13. So you have football alongside your studies, which is quite nice.
Sure. Elise, was it always football for you, or were you thinking cricket? Because again, the same with women's cricket, isn't it? 10, 15 years ago, there was no career path whatsoever for women in cricket. But now, I'm a member of Taunton, and we go to sell out women's games in the summer. It's fabulous. So, was it always football, or was cricket part of it too?
Well, ironically, I started off with gymnastics as well.
Oh.
So, I did that till I was 10 and then quit for pretty much the same reason. I got told gymnastics or other sports. And then picked up cricket, football, a couple other sports along the way, and they're the two that I've ended up playing. So, yeah, it's been good.
Fabulous. What is it with gymnastics? We always have gymnastics at school. I was terrible, but anyway, that's another story. Rachel, tell us your story, because you are a primary school teacher in Marlborough, but with a special interest in PE. Tell us about you.
Yeah, so I've been teaching for longer than I'd like to mention, but my passion's always been sport. My background is gymnastics, but a particular type of gymnastics, which is rhythmic gymnastics with ribbons and hoops and balls. And I just think that sport just plays such a vital role in a young person's life. It can teach them so many life skills. Brilliant if they are successful and can climb up through whichever sport they're interested in. But if you're just playing it for fun, it teaches you social skills, life lessons that will last you and help you improve your life, not to mention improve your mental health and your fitness and all those other important things that are going on at the moment. So yes.
Well, were you a football person, or was it rhythmic?
No, I have no idea where Elise's football came from. I do remember her sort of marching me up to a poster and saying, I want to do that. And she was age 7, and it was a girls' football course, I think, wasn't it, in Marlborough? But yeah, there was no previous football players in our family. Rugby players, hockey players, gymnasts, but not football.
Okay, Joe, what about you? I mean, I know your family is kind of steeped in Swindon Town in a way, isn't it? But tell us about you.
Yeah, myself, I did gymnastics as well and netball. I played netball up until my early 30s until I had an ankle injury. It was always a sport that I tried to get Gypsy into, if I'm honest, but there was just something about it she hated. One sport she didn't take to. So I guess I've always been used to sort of like going out on a Saturday and playing a game and doing the training in the week. I have to say, though, when she did gymnastics, I was quite pleased because it was always in a warm hall rather than being outside in all weathers. So that's my background. Never played football, was never an option at school for me. Rugby, hockey, all those types of sports, but football just wasn't on the curriculum at that point. So never dabbled in it at all myself.
Interesting, because there is a family connection. Of course, AD Vivash is, former town player, former youth player, now at Coventry's assistant manager. So there is football in the family, isn't there?
Yes, yeah. And ironically, he had 2 boys that never took to sport, and I had 2 girls that did.
Fair enough. Okay. Gypsy, what about that career progression? Because we mentioned, I'm old enough to remember when women's football was banned until the early 70s. They weren't allowed to play football, for goodness sake. How has it changed since you've been playing, the attitude towards women's football?
Oh, massively. I think even from the last even been at Swindon since I was 16 to how it is now, just little things like kit, facilities, just engagement in the sport with like people around Swindon as well. It's only been the last 2 years, I think, since like Clem's properly integrated us into the football club officially, that it's made a difference in and around Swindon. But obviously with the women's football, with like the Lionesses, it's grown over a few more years, which is nice. So it's like had to start with something big for all the lower league teams to be facilitated within their like footballing communities, which is nice. But it's still got a long way to go, but it's getting there, which is good.
Yeah, I think at least the word is respect now, isn't it? Does it have respect? It has respect, doesn't it, women's football? I think that's a big word.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the exposure as well with on TV and all of that is definitely helping the progression of the sport from where it was.
And how is it, the fact that it's under the umbrella of the football club, how does that help somebody coming through the system?
I think it's really good because it means for the girls that are entering the foundation now, they have somewhere to aim for. And like it's more, again, exposure. Like they have exposure to the women's team playing at the county ground and all of that. So they know where they can go from. Like even when I started, the women's team was very rarely talked about. Like it was never really somewhere that you would talk about like wanting to play or something like that. Whereas now it's definitely got more of a progression from the foundation up to women's team.
I think it's nice as well that we play at the foundation as our home ground. So that's where the Swindon and the community like have all their training sessions. So it's then like connected a little bit more, whereas where we used to play at Fairford, it was just completely separate. So having that connection probably helps it a little bit more as well. And obviously with the social media side of it, we're so much more promoted even on the males social medias, and obviously like podcasts like this promoting us, which is really nice, is where it never used to be like that before. Just like kit, we get more kit, we get the male kit now, so we have the same kit as the men's team. In playing at the campground is a massive thing, getting the numbers up, people actually wanting to come and watch us, which is really nice. Yeah,
we'll talk about that game in a little while, obviously. This is from Craig. Swindon Town women now seem much better integrated into the Swindon Town brand. How important has this increased local profile been to Elise and Gypsy? Well, Gypsy started it off, Elise, talking about social media, etc. Have you noticed that there is an increase in local interest now?
Definitely. Like, I'll get asked about it, and like family, friends will talk about it, and about how I've progressed, and they'll see it on social media and things like that, and say, it developed. It's gotten much better with that. And
for you, Gypsy, I mean, the name Gypsy Vivash is known, which is, it is, and for women's football, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, well, even like working at my placement school at the minute, some girl said that one of her friends came and watched our football match at the county ground. She got a picture of me, but she was like, "Oh, you play for Liverpool?" And I was like, "No, I don't play for Liverpool. I play for Swindon," which was quite funny. But she knew that I played football, which was nice, but just got the team a little bit wrong. But just things like that, just kids come in to watch our games. They're so excited to get our autographs and like get pictures with us, which is really nice. Obviously, it's a bit different I feel like for us as well, because we're so not used to that. We're not used to people wanting to come and watch us and have photos with us and pictures with us. So it's like getting used to it as well, but it's nice.
But that's a big part of it, because the thing is, at least with the men's game, they're kind of separated, aren't they? They, at the end of the game, they kind of disappear. Right, there are one or two selfies and there are one or two autographs, but they kind of disappear down the tunnel. But with the women's game, it's slightly different, isn't it? Because you all hang around afterwards and people get their pictures taken, then they get autographs and things like that. And that's really important to build that link.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really good for us to develop that relationship with the fans, because that's what they're the people that will progress us in the years leading on. Like, we need their recognition. So I think it's very important that we do that and we build that relationship for the future.
I was down at Exeter, well, I live near there, but when you play down there in that baking hot Sunday afternoon, they get phenomenal crowds down there, and they get really good contact between the fans and the players. Are they a bit of a role model? Because they do seem to have got that right, Gypsy, somehow.
Sorry, say that again.
Have Exeter got?
Sorry, the sound went.
When you played at Exeter, there's always a big crowd watching them, and they seem to have got that quite right. Are they a bit of a model, would you say, to look at?
I think they're probably a team that's probably a couple years ahead of us, because they've had the association with the men's side for a few more years. Yeah. So, but you can definitely see that with the fans. Like, they've got fans week in, week out, which is nice. Whereas,
and a fan with a drum as well.
Yeah, a fan with a drum. He's been banned though. But they come and watch them every week. Whereas I feel like at the minute we've probably got people that come to the odd game. They're not quite coming every week, which is probably what we need our fan base to do a little bit more, have them week in, week out. But I think having the games at the county ground definitely help more rather than the foundation, because it's so much more advertised at the county ground, which is why we get more people to watch us.
Sure. Barry says you definitely make the young fans feel appreciated, that's for sure. Really appreciate the time you all take with the fans. Hi, Claire. As a founder member of the women's team, I would like to congratulate Martin Wheeler for being the club chairman for the past 30 years up until this season, when STWFC have taken the club on financially. Continuity, that's a big thing, isn't it, Elise? You need to know that it's got a solid base and you can all move forward, and you are under that umbrella, and people, there's a lot of volunteers. We're going to get onto the mums in a minute, but, volunteers are essential, aren't they?
Definitely. And especially at this stage as well, where we're developing as a football club. They're pretty much the foundation of that. They're who we rely on to have these games at the county ground and all of that. So, yeah, they're vital for how our team progresses and gets,
Yeah, sure. And Gypsy, also, I guess you make a lot of friends for it as well, don't you?
Friends
through the game.
Through the game, yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we've had a big change at the club, new players coming in, players going out, but you stay in contact with those players, and like even the parent side of it, you stay in contact with quite a few of the parents' mums that have come over the years, which is nice. So you do you're with them Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday every week, so you're going to create that relationship with them.
Message from Sean. He says probably would come every week if it was at the county ground. Can you hear us all right? Can you?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay. I think it's my Wi-Fi. I new hub put in this week.
Marvelous modern technology, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, let's talk to the mums, because goodness me, how important are parents in all this? We'll ask the younger ones about that in a minute. But Rachel, I think you said you got 3 children who are all mad keen on sport. So you're a primary school teacher. I know from Family Connections that's quite a demanding job. So how do you fit it all in?
Yeah, it's a struggle sometimes. But I have a very good husband that he does what he can as well. So between us, we muddle through. Our timetable, I think it's sort of settled down a bit now. Elise is up at Swindon, but at one time I think we were driving to Devizes on a Monday, Swindon on a Tuesday, Swindon on a Friday, and then back quickly to go to a Marlborough training session on a Friday as well. And that was just Elise, and I was doing the same for the other two. But you do what you can. I personally feel very strongly that sport is a really important part of a kid's life, or some sport, or it could be music, or it could be art, but for my three it was sport. So you've got to try and encourage them and help them to develop the skills that they want to develop.
And do you think schools take it seriously? I mean, as a teacher, there was a lot of times when there weren't the playing areas that people, after school hours and all that kind of thing. Is sport taken seriously now at schools?
I think so. Currently, the government give a sports premium to help schools to deliver a better sporting environment for the children. So, I mean, schools use it in different ways. I can only speak for our own school. We're very driven. We make sure we've got after school clubs running at least 3 times a week for our children. We enter lots and lots of different sports festivals to give our children a wide breadth of different sports. And we wouldn't have been able to do that before that sports funding came became available. So that's made a big difference. But I also think, when I started teaching, football was a sport that boys played. And, I think in my first couple of years of teaching, I can remember one girl that was interested in playing sport. But now that's just not the case. And, you're in a primary school and you'll see a football game going on and there'll be girls playing as well as boys. And I think, that is testament to the success of the Lionesses, but also, seeing local teams doing well. And particularly in Marlborough, we've got a very strong women's section of the Marlborough Youth Football Club. I think they've got 200 girls section. They've got 200 members now. So in every if that's happening in every town, that growth, then this is why we're seeing girls playing football on the playground, which is fantastic.
Sure. Joe, what about you then? How many times do you ferry people around every week?
Oh, dear me. Over the years, I mean, it's not so bad now. My eldest, she's travelling actually, so she's not here. So I've only got Gypsy to contend with. And now she drives. Obviously, that makes my life a lot easier. But prior to driving, goodness me, a bit like Rachel, here, there and everywhere. Down to I think it was Salisbury at one point for the Wiltshire training, different clubs, activities. I mean, Southwest camps down in Taunton. Again, whole weekends, you drop them off on a Friday and pick them up on a Sunday. But if you want to go and watch a match, you have to go there on a Saturday. So it was a whole weekend for me, sort of like up and down, because you want to see them play and see sort of like how they fit in within that sort of like development path. Traveled to Sweden twice when in competitions with the foundation, so it's been immense over the years, if I'm honest with you, the traveling, but wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, that's going to be my next question. I mean, it is arduous, it is tiring, it's exhausting, but it's what you do, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. And Gypsy's Grump, I mean, he hasn't missed, I think he's missed probably 2 matches since she's been playing for the last 10 years. It's a family thing. I mean, we talk about it before the match, after the match, in the week, what's happening, who's playing, who's doing what. It's just a big family connection for us. So, great. It's been good.
So how about car journeys?
Sorry. I was going to say the car journeys are great for catching up as well, aren't they? When they're so busy.
I agree, Rachel. Yeah, because you don't get a lot of time in the week because it is so busy with school and work and all the rest of it. So ideal time sitting in the car catching up. Yeah, I agree with that.
What about, Rachel, though, the fact that you want your child to keep up the schoolwork, and of course, obviously, when they're doing all these sporty things, they still have to do the schoolwork. So is that a difficult balance?
I don't know. As a teacher, as a teacher, I never let them take the easy route. There was always an expectation that if they were going to their after school club of whichever sport it was, that the homework would be done. And I probably had a bit of a zero tolerance view on that, didn't I, Liz?
No, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that one. And I have to say, at the C6 the last year, I think Gypsy dropped that football, didn't you? Because obviously A levels were important. I mean, she wanted to go to university and had to put the work in, and something had to give. And even going to uni, traveling back and forth, and actually trying to fit it all in is a real struggle for some of these girls. When you're leaving at 7 o'clock in the morning and probably not coming back to 7, then having to go to work, to training and doing work in between, it's hard. So I think at some points it does have to give a little bit.
Is there a temptation, Gypsy, to? Oh, sorry, Rachel. Go on.
No, I was going to say that C6 also they're quite specific, aren't they? In that you have to keep up with your work, otherwise you're letting your team down, because we won't be able to play you in the matches during the week. So I think the C6 program very much sort of gives that gives you that importance to the work.
Yeah, we've spoken to people from the academy before, and they've said that education is a very big part of the community, so a foundation. So it's very important. I mean, Gypsy, how difficult is it when you were sort of doing the school? I know you're training to be a PE teacher at the minute, aren't you? So, you've got all that to deal with as well. But when you're at school, where does sport fit into it? Because, believe it or not, I was a young person once, and sport kind of always came first rather than schoolwork. So, there is that kind of feeling that you just want to play football with your mates, don't you? So how difficult was it to do that?
What, when I was at school?
Yeah.
God, going back a few years now. When I was at school, obviously GCSEs, I kind of didn't have that much. I don't know. I could relate it better to uni, if I'm honest, rather than school. With my uni degree, I did put my uni degree first. But I just made sure I did the work before it got to a point where I had to give up or anything. So I did have enough time to add football on to it. But I did have to drop out of the uni team to concentrate on Swindon because it was a higher level. So I did prioritise Swindon over the uni football, but I had enough time to do my uni work, so it was all good.
Yeah, we obviously were driven enough to do that. Elise, how about you? Schoolwork, football, where do they two come?
Well,
you sat next to your mum, so you better be careful.
Yeah. It's a lot of both at the moment, to be honest. Taking up a lot of my time, but yeah, it's yeah.
Okay.
I don't mind school, but I like football.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
She says that she doesn't mind school. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, you are doing quite a lot of A levels, aren't you? At the moment, so they require quite a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I did suggest that maybe she reduced her A levels down by 1, but then she said that she might have too many frees, so we're not sure.
Fair enough. Lots of stuff coming in, which is lovely. Sean says, I know how you feel. Had the same with my son. Unfortunately, serious injury put paid to him, having chance to progress further than the elite and junior Premier League, but did love taking him all over the country. Hi, Craig. Given that men's and women's kit are identical and the Bournemouth match is away, it's at home, isn't it?
It's home.
I wonder if Elise and Gypsy have any insight into the colour of the third kit. Good luck, by the way. Great test. And Claire, from age 7, my dad took me to all my youth club football and then all over the country for senior football training and matches. The support from your parents is massive, not only financially, but the time they give up for you. I mean, Gypsy, you must appreciate that, what they do. I mean,
oh, of course.
And again, your mum sat next to you, so
No, I do appreciate it. I know, obviously, how much, petrol, for example, is expensive. The time and that they want to come and watch me play, which is really nice over the years. But it's a family thing for us with me, my mum, and my gramp. My gramp loves it. Like if there's a game off on a Sunday, he's absolutely gutted. So it is a family thing as well for us, which is really nice.
Because your game was off yesterday, wasn't it? You're supposed to play at Chelsea.
Yeah.
So that's quite a trip. I think is that Chichester way? That's quite a long way, isn't it?
Yeah.
About 2 hours or just over 2 hours, I think.
Yeah.
That's the second time it's been cancelled in the last month. So
yeah. But anyway, at least they gave you notice of that, which was decent. Save you going, wouldn't it? And the same with you, Elise. I mean, you must appreciate what your parents put in. I mean, it's a lot of effort.
Definitely, with 3 of us as well. Like, it's definitely highlighted by like the amount that travel it is and all of that, and also like the trips I've been on and things like that have been like really good experiences, and I've still got some more of them coming up. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that.
What about washing and stuff then, Rachel? My goodness me, you must have a shed load of that.
Yes, the electricity bills are probably a little bit higher than they would be otherwise, but no, it's all good, isn't it? And I'm a bit like Joe. Elise has just turned 17, so hopefully we're going to get her driving soon.
And then you worry about them driving, so I don't know if it is much help actually.
Yeah, I mean, how does the club help with kit, Joe? Do they?
The kit and everything's sorted out. They've got training kits and they're provided with obviously match day kits. And luckily for us, we don't have to wash that. That's all been put in a bag, and I think the club wash all that. So again, the expense has gone down, if I'm honest with you, because obviously they don't pay fees anymore, which has been a great help. And obviously the training kit and the match day kits all provided for. So again, this season it's been brilliant.
Yeah, that's another thing, Elise, isn't it? I mean, I always remember talking to a former Exeter City captain, and she was always saying they have to pay every week to play football. And because they weren't part of the football club, they are now, as you are. So that makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it definitely highlights the more like togetherness of the club, and they're like increasing equality between women's and men's football. Like, even though there's a long way to go, it's definitely improving compared to how it was.
Rockin' Robin has been in touch. With the women playing at the county ground, I'm a lot busier, as I love watching them play too. Good luck on Sunday. I'll be there. And Claire says, my mum used to wash the whole team kit every week. Fabulous. I mean, where would we be without that?
I've done that a couple of times, not every week, but it's when they got white shorts.
Muddy pitches, yes, indeed. Yeah. So let's get into the games themselves, Gypsy. How are you doing this season? I think you're in the top 3, or last time I looked, you were.
Yeah, we're currently sitting 3rd, I'm pretty sure. The season's going well. Obviously, we got beat by Bournemouth, which was a tough one to take, which I don't think we should have got beat by them at all. It was definitely either a winning game or definitely a draw. So that was obviously, we knocked a few points there. Exeter, we were all over them in the first half. Second half, they got the better of us, unfortunately. So it was a 3-1. Moneyfield, good test. We drew 1-1. 3-3, sorry. But I think that was probably a game that it was an even game, so I had to take the draw there. But overall, I think we're doing well this season. Just need to keep winning games. I think it's a tough league to get out of at the minute, because the top teams, they've won every single game, whereas we've dropped points. So promotion, not 100% sure if we're going to be able to get there this season, but it's definitely, we're going towards promotion. We're fighting with the top teams, which is good compared to other seasons. So I'd say in the next season, we should definitely be getting promoted.
How much? Well, absolutely. How much of a shock was Mike Cook leaving? Because, he was supposed to come and give the stability, and then all of a sudden he'd gone off to Gloucester. I think they've lost 5 in a row. But
I really liked Mike. I thought he was a great manager. I learned a lot from him. So I was actually quite sad to see him leave. Because I think he started to do really good things with the club, But now Rich has stepped up, which is really good. I think Rich is great. He's done a lot for the club. He stepped up when there was a hard time for the club where we didn't have a manager. Everyone was shocked because Mike Sulu just came in. But Rich has really taken it on really well, and I respect him a lot, and I think he's a great coach and manager. So yeah, I think here to keep doing well.
Yeah, so we had Mike Cook doing this very thing about a week before he resigned. I hope we were nothing to do with it, because that would have been a bit of a panic. I mean, how about you, Elise? I mean, there's a change of management, there's a change of structure, but the structure stays the same, didn't it? It wasn't a massive change.
Yeah. Especially with Rich just stepping up into that role, it was pretty although it wasn't smooth, it was as smooth as it probably could have been.
Yeah.
So it was in reality, it wasn't actually too much of a difference. So, which was good.
What was your WhatsApp group like that night when he decided to go?
Well, I think
Twitter found out. Well, we found out from Twitter before we found out. So, I think no one. It was kind of a shock. I think everyone it was turning up to training, and everyone was a bit confused what was going on. But it is what it is. That happens in football. People take opportunities. You can't knock him for that. It's a great opportunity. He's gone and done. But Rich has stepped up. We've got Rich now, which is great. So, yeah.
Onward and upward, as they say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Philip says, great insight into women's football, and Gypsy and Elise come across so well. A massive credit to the parents for all the support. So there we are. It's nice to get that. And where do you think the season can go, Elise? Where are you looking at? I mean, obviously, Gypsy said promotion might not be, this season, but maybe next. As one of the future, might I say, at the age of 17, where do you see the club going?
I definitely think it's on the up, competing with the top teams in the league. There's not been much in it at all. So I think definitely we're not far off, and hopefully in the seasons to come, we'll be moving up and getting promotion.
I think
Go on, sorry. Go on.
I think the hard thing is in this league is that only one team goes up. So if you want to go up, you have to win every single game. There's no dropping points. So that's the difference. And I think the league, in my personal opinion, I think the league should change. It should be top two, or the second and third fight it off for promotion. Because just taking one team up every season is just it's not going to change. The same team's going up, the same team's going down. So it's not, I don't think the pyramid of women's football is
quite right
at the minute regarding the tier 4 league. But that's my opinion.
And where are we at in terms of the Women's Super League? I mean, all right, they're up there somewhere. And I've seen £300,000 has recently been paid for one player, which is, shows the way it's going. But where are we at in terms of the Women's Super League, would you say?
Well, so in the pyramid, it goes tier 4, well, obviously the lower leagues, but where we are, tier 4, tier 3, championship, then WSL. So 3 leagues below.
I don't think there's a lot of standard between 4 and 3, particularly with the top teams from what I've seen this season. And actually Bournemouth even beat Portsmouth at the weekend, who are top of tier 3. So that's actually showing that the divide between the leagues is shortening. As for the championship and WSL, I think we're way off that. I think the standard is that the money is being paid into those clubs.
Yeah.
So I think that's what the difference is.
Yeah, like some Man City, Chelsea, Man United, all these people. I think that.
I was going to say, even myself watching football or watching the Swindon Ladies play, definitely the standard has increased this last year. Definitely.
I think they had 43,000 yesterday at Old Trafford, Elise. I mean, would you like to play in front of that? I mean, Man City, Man United, I mean, that's some crowd, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's very impressive, the crowds that are now being attracted to women's football. So, it's pretty incredible, really.
And the coverage it's getting as well. BBC, Sky, all over the shop.
Yeah. A couple games on the TV yesterday. So, it's good.
How are you, Rachel, watching?
Watching Elise. Yeah, mixed, I'd say. Because this is obviously her first season in the ladies' first team. So she's been on the bench. So, actually when she comes off the bench and she gets 10, 15 minutes, it's exciting to see her, having that opportunity to play against more experienced players, play against women, having just seen her sort of finishing the season with the under 16s. But it's also nerve-wracking, and I certainly don't look when it's a penalty shootout.
How about you, Joe?
I love it. I must admit, I'm probably Gypsy's worst critic. Probably criticise her, what she did wrong, what she could have done better. Not that I know a lot about football, but obviously at the end of the game I do. I like it. I like watching her play. And she enjoys it, and it's good to see her in a place where she's happy.
And where you go with this, Gypsy, because you want to be a PE teacher, but do you see, I mean, Emma Hayes is now going off to America, isn't she, to be the women's national team coach? And the one thing you would say maybe about women's football is the fact there are a lack of women coaching at the top level. Do you see that as a way forward? More women getting into it?
Yeah, I think more women are getting into it. Even like the Lionesses manager, she's brilliant. And obviously Emma Hayes, she got offered a few. I'm pretty sure she got offered by a men's side, but a lower league men's side. But she said, "Why would I go to a lower men's league side if I'm managing Chelsea?" I think the women's game is obviously growing massively, so I think getting into the coaching side of it's great. Even like at C6, they promote coaching, so you have a backup if football doesn't. Football is not always going to be. You got to be realistic. Not everyone's going to get there. You've got to have a backup plan. So having coaching, for example, as a backup plan is good. Because obviously I've got my level 2 through Swindon and the community, so having that backup plan is good. And obviously I've got my degree, so I'm just realistic with it a little bit. So I know I'm not going to be a professional football player, but I'm going to play to the highest standard I can. But obviously I've said backup plan about 5 times. But having my backup plan, you just have got to be realistic with that, I think.
It was useful to have one of them, I think. But would you see yourself as a manager in years to come?
I'm not sure. I think I'm going down the PE teaching route, which I'm really enjoying at the minute, having that as my career. I have done coaching along the years with Swindon, but I'm loving PE teaching, so that I'd say I'm more swaying towards that.
I think probably a bit more security as a PE teacher than there is as a manager, I suspect. Yeah. How about you, Elise? I mean, you're only 17 for goodness sake, so you got a long way to go yet. But I mean, if you could reach as high as you can, which is what you want to do, where would you aim to be?
It's a bit of a difficult question, to be honest, because I have some other some other things that I want to achieve. So, whether I would put football above all the other things that I want to do would be a difficult question, for me to answer now. So,
what would you ideally like to do as a career then? What would be your first choice?
Well, I want to join the army. So.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. But there's plenty of opportunity in the army to play sport.
Yeah, exactly. So that'd be good.
It would. Yeah. The structure for women's football is shocking. As for the WSL, it's the same as the Premier League for men. It's all about the top tier. Yeah. There's a lot of nodding heads going on there. So, the point is, the lower levels of women's football don't get the coverage, do they? It's always about the Women's Super League.
I think it also recently what came out with the prize money for the FA Cup as well. They doubled it, but it was for
the higher the rounds. So it's only helping out the WSL Championship teams, unless you get really far and you're lucky.
Yeah, fair enough. Here's another subject. Craig says, nasty injury at the Aberdeen versus Spartans women yesterday. Craig lives in Scotland, but comes to watch the town every Saturday, would you believe? Unbelievably. I thought I had a long journey, but boy. No ambulance on site, so player had to wait 30 minutes to be stretchered off with a neck injury. Is there ambulance cover at Swindon matches? I think you had an injury, Joe, Gypsy, haven't you? You in the past, but what about the medical facilities at women's games?
Well, we've got a physio at all our games. I'm not sure about an ambulance. I would say probably not.
No. Well, you had one called when you had an ankle injury.
Yeah, but
but not on site.
Not on site. But I don't think so. No.
No.
Does that worry you, Rachel?
To be honest, it's not really something I've thought of. I think if you're playing sport, you realise that you there's a risk that you have to take with that sport. I guess playing with Elise, playing against women as opposed to just people her own age. Maybe I should be a little bit more concerned about it. But there is a physio. I think Swindon are doing what they can to take good care of their players. And you've got to be realistic, haven't you? It's expensive to get an ambulance to every game.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Right. Well, let's talk about this coming Sunday because it is another big occasion for you, the county ground. At least, what's it like to run out of the county ground then?
It's very cool. Like, yeah, I enjoy it a lot. Like, been going to Swindon games for the men's team for a couple of seasons. So, yeah, like. To run out on that pitch as a player is very cool.
Because I'm guessing a lot of the venues you go to aren't quite up to that standard. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. No, they're getting better, but yeah.
Yeah. How was Liskeard? Is that all right?
Yeah.
It was a bit muddy, wasn't it? You had to warm up off the pitch, didn't you, on that game?
We warmed up on a school field. So.
Yeah, to save the pitch. So that was an interesting.
I think that's the difference, though, in even our league, where we've got the facility at the county ground, and then we go play on some questionable pitches. So it's quite hard to go from a perfect ground to a bobbly pitch. It is quite hard to adapt to it from different weeks, so it is adapting your game as well as a team.
Sure. I mean, the surface is pristine at the county ground, isn't it? I mean, Gypsy, how is it for you then, coming out and in front of the county ground?
Oh, I love it. I've been a Swindon supporter since I was 12. Used to have a season ticket. Used to go with my friend in the hospitality. Used to absolutely love it. So then getting the opportunity to play on the county ground 5 or 6 times so far, I'm pretty sure. It's just amazing, especially as when you have, for example, we had our double header after the men's game and we had 700 odd people come and watch you. I think that was the first time we played at the county ground. I just remember the feeling. I had such adrenaline. I wasn't used to that many people coming to watch, and obviously playing at the county ground as well. It's just a really great experience.
Is that, I mean, how would you say that compares to playing on a Sunday afternoon when the crowds are lower, I think, aren't they? But is that how you would prefer it after the men's game? There are a lot of logistical problems. I understand this. You've got to get everybody out and then you've got to come back in again, etc., etc. But is that a better way of doing it?
To a certain extent, I think it's got its pros, it's got its cons. Both teams have to agree, we all work as alongside football. So some people could be working on a Saturday. It's a tough one. It was a great experience for when it happened, but I don't think it would be able to do that every week. It just isn't possible.
Fair enough.
It would be nice to play on the county ground every week.
Oh, the county ground 100% every week on every Sunday, but I don't think a Saturday after a men's game would be possible every week.
Sure. Right. So what happens now, Elise, between now and Sunday? What's the routine? What is the training schedule, etc.?
Pretty high. So I have C6 training tomorrow morning, then ladies training tomorrow evening. I'll have a match on Wednesday for C6 against Burton Albion. Thursday I'll have ladies training again, and then Friday I have C6 training. Potentially a game on Saturday, and then maybe the game on Sunday. We'll see.
Rachel, I'm exhausted just listening.
To be fair, when I was that age, I did that, but when you turn 21, 22, you won't be able to do that anymore.
Wow.
I thought I was still young.
How about you, Gypsy? What's your schedule?
Regarding football or everything?
Yeah, well, everything really. You've got to fit it all in, haven't you?
Well, I'm at placement at the minute, Monday to Friday, doing PE teaching, which is fun, but it's very tiring. It's a lot with lesson planning, teaching, etc., everything else included. Then obviously I just train on a Tuesday and a Thursday with Swindon, and then play our games on a Sunday.
Do you train apart from that? I mean, do you go out running or any of that stuff, or do you have a sort of defined schedule given to you by the club?
We have our gym sessions before on a Tuesday as well. Recovery is probably most of it, but I don't go out running because I don't.
No, fair enough. No, that's
I think you're one that's quite naturally fit. So
yeah.
Claire played for Swindon at Ashton Gate against Bristol City. We got booed every time we kicked the ball. It was brilliant. It makes you play better.
That would put me off.
Fabulous. So Sunday then, Elise, what are your thoughts? Bournemouth, as we've mentioned, won 3-2 narrowly, and according to Gypsy, shouldn't have won because of refereeing decisions. But what are your thoughts about Sunday?
I think it'll be a really good game. With the last game being that close, I think there's potential for a great game there between the two sides. So, and hopefully we come out on top. So, yeah. And
realistically, where do you think it could go in the cup if you did get past this stage? I don't know. When do the big clubs come in, as it were?
Next round, championship. Yeah. There's still quite a few beatable teams in the cup so far, and I'm pretty sure it stays regional until later rounds. So there's quite a few in our league and even the leagues below. So even if we get through the next round, we could pull another team the same level as us. So we have got some beatable teams in there that we can go as far as possible.
Sorry, Joe, go on.
I was going to say it's everything to play for, really. So, like I said, I mean, Sunday will be tough, but it's a 50-50 game, I feel, from watching them. But like I said, they are riding high from a good win on Sunday.
Yeah, they're going to be up for it, beating a team in the league above in their Hampshire Cup, I'm pretty sure it was. But we just got to go in with the mindset that last game we should have won. We're just as good as them. We had our opportunities. We just need to take the opportunities and just go in with a positive mindset, really, that we can win the game.
Rachel, what are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I wouldn't like to say, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed and everything else crossed that they come out one up on Bournemouth. Let's go 3-2 to Swindon.
Fair enough. What's the difference, Gypsy, between the two clubs in terms of not just the teams, but the off-the-field structure? Are they pretty similar, would you say?
Yeah, I think they have got a association with the male side. They do post them a lot on their social medias. They've been playing at the Bournemouth Stadium quite a bit as well, so they have got that link with the men's side. I don't know how long they've been associated with the men's side. I think it's only recently.
I'm not sure. A couple of years, I think.
Maybe a couple of years.
Yeah.
But they've got good players, but so have we. And it will be down to the game, the day. So I think.
Yeah, I mean, we should say, of course, Bournemouth being in the men's Premier League, there's more available to them, isn't there? Let's be honest.
They got more money. Well, again, I guess it's a bigger region. They can pick up more girls from their areas than possibly we can as well, which strengthens the teams.
It's even little things like they've got a university near them. We don't. We're a small town compared to like these Exeters and these Bournemouths. They get those people from their universities from all over, whereas we don't have that pool of players to get from. So it's harder for us to pick up players, really, because it's just them coming through the ranks of Swindon. So yeah.
Well, that's. I mean, you beat Liscard 3-1 away, and then you won 6-0 against Shelburne, which I think that was at the county ground, if I remember rightly, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. It was at the Foundation Park. What's the difference between playing on the grass and the artificial surface? Because Foundation Park's a pretty good service, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a brilliant surface. I think it's hard to keep changing between Astro and grass. A lot of injuries happen from keep swapping and changing, especially with like all the knee injuries at the minute, especially in the women's game, which is worrying. But I think it's hard to keep changing from grass to Astro all the time. So it's a difficult one. A foundation have got a brilliant setup there, but we want to be playing at the county ground, really. That's where we all want to play.
Elise, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I definitely would second that. I like playing at Foundation Park because it's where I played for like fair few seasons, and I'm on there a lot. But yeah, county ground would, if we could get that as much as possible, it would definitely be better. But yeah,
it's a fantastic facility, and especially now with the Nigel Eady Training Centre. I mean, that must make a big difference, mustn't it?
Yeah, definitely. For C6 training as well, we use that quite a lot. So yeah, that's good. And that's again a different surface. So although it's like different, it's in a way it's quite good because it's training you to get used to different surfaces for different games. So yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, of course, we wish you all the very best on Sunday, which I think is a 2:00 kickoff. Is that right? Tickets are available. So thank you ever so much for coming. But let's give the final words to the mums because, as we said before, it's an extraordinary amount of work goes into this, not only from the playing side, but of course from the mums and the family side as well. I mean, Rachel, I know Elisa said she wants to go into the army, but what would be your wishes in her football career? What would you want to see from it for her?
I just want her to play as long as it makes her happy, really. That's why I wanted the kids involved in sport, to keep them happy, keep them fit, keep them healthy. And maybe she'll end up in the army, playing for the army, football for the army team. Maybe she'll be one of the lucky ones that will go on and climb up through the leagues if she gets that opportunity. We will have to wait and see. But the main priority for me is that she's happy with what she's doing.
Joe, I guess that's the same with you, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for Gypsy, she really wants to sort of like stay with the club and get that promotion and play Tier 3 football. I think that's your sort of like aspiration at the moment, isn't it? Just to see if she can play at that level, which I've got no doubt she can, and see sort of like where the club goes.
Would it be lovely to see you get there and do that, and obviously at least you to be a part of it as well? It'd be fantastic as that progression is made. We wish you all the very best, and particularly for. Are you around at the county ground on Saturday as well? Are you going to that? Are you?
I am.
Yeah, I think I might be.
Yeah, you might get somebody ask you to come on the pitch and talk about it for the game.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, I am actually doing
that. Yeah.
Good, excellent. Well, there we are, Chris. A real insight into how it all works, really. The part played by players, families, everything else.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, girls. Thank you very much, mums. It's been really interesting to listen to it. And I will see you all there on Sunday. So I will be there cheering you on. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. We will be back next Monday with a Monday night panel following the game on Saturday via Mansfield. And of course, we will be reviewing the game for the girls on the Sunday. So we will see you then. Please, Gypsy, Joe, Rachel and Elise, don't go anywhere. Stay where you are when we go off live, okay? So we'll see you all next week and take care.